Mr. Moran, will your investigators be in essence re-investigating these crimes, or how exactly, what are you looking at?
We are looking at investigative thoroughness, impartiality, whether the SIU did its job that it's required to do under law.
Are you concerned then about the implications if you come to a conclusion that is different than the SIU?
Well, we won't be reinvestigating their cases. We're investigating how they investigated the case. Now, what kind of recommendation could I be making, or what could be the ultimate outcome of that? Right now, it's obviously too early to speculate, but off the top of my head, some of the possibilities would be to identify if there exists any lapses in how investigations are investigated. How can you fix these if they exist? I suppose potentially referring a case back to the SIU to conduct an investigation where things were missed. But my job is not to supplant and replace the SIU.
When did you leave as head of the SIU?
I left in June of 1998.
Are you concerned that, you're talking about impartiality here, so as a former head of the SIU yourself, how impartial can you be?
Well, I have one loyalty in conducting this investigation as I do in conducting every one of my investigation. It's the loyalty to the Ombudsman Act of Ontario, which tells me my job is to make sure provincial agencies, corporations, ministries are doing the right thing, that they're acting properly and fairly and fulfilling their mandate.
Is it possible that when you go back and look at these cases, say police officers weren't charged as a result of the original investigation? I mean, that is another potential outcome, is it not? If the SIU was found to have not discharged its duties properly?
We'll cross that bridge when we get there. As I said, I don't want to speculate beyond some general illustrations of the kinds of things I can recommend.
Are there still employees at the SIU who were there when you were there? And does that raise some concerns for you that, because it's the police are going to be complaining about this, that they might allege on your part that there's a bit of a conflict?
I'm not aware of the top of my head of any investigators who were there at the time I was there. I mean, to put it in perspective, I was appointed the head of the SIU 11 years ago for 22 months. You can find analogies in our system. When you get a trial judge who's elevated to an appeal court level, he'll continue hearing appeals from the trial level court where he used to be, often from colleagues he used to work with. Our system doesn't see a conflict there. As I said, conflict of interest arises when there are divided loyalties. My loyalty here is to the Ombudsman Act of Ontario to ensure that these institutions are working the way they should.
Speak a bit from your experience as head of SIU about the pressures you were under from police, because police have never been particularly fond of this organization.
No, I think that it's a very difficult job to operate the SIU. It's not just from the police, but community, the family, the media. It's a difficult job. I don't think there's any one single pressure out there beyond the fact it's a very difficult job. The expectations are high. It's a tall order to be running that place, and it's tall order to be working at the SIU. There's no doubt about it.
To return to April's point, though, I mean, if you decide that after your investigation of their investigations that you order another SIU to reopen the case, charges could eventually be laid then if a case has to be reopened.
Yeah. I won't go to the end of that conjecture. We're just going to have to wait till the report comes out. I want to just emphasize once again, these are all allegations. We'll need to conduct investigation, get to the bottom of them, and then to decide whether or not we do make recommendations.
The 8 cases that you talked about, the 8 cases that you're citing, did they all result in deaths?
Deaths and serious injury.
Deaths and serious injury. Where did they occur? All in Toronto?
They're all in the Toronto area.
All the GTA?
Yes.
Okay, fine.
And can you say in those 8 cases, what happened with the police involved? Were there any charges laid, or can you just generally characterize the outcome of those investigations?
At this stage, I'm going to leave it at that. There were cases of serious injury or death where family members or people close to the family and lawyers have complained about an incompetent investigation conducted by the SIU, lack of communication between SIU and the family, and that's what we'll be investigating. I think I've said enough.